Something like 1 in 10 women of childbearing age is affected by polycystic ovary syndrome. It's way more common than most people think. So today, we're going to dive into a totally new way of looking at PCOS, not just as some hormonal thing, but as a condition that's really rooted in inflammation. And we're going to uncover the powerful role your diet can play in managing it.
Okay, let's kick things off with this quote from Dr. Elliot Joslin because it just nails it. It's this powerful idea that, look, while we can't change our genes, we absolutely can change our lifestyle. And for a condition like PCOS, those everyday choices, they don't just matter, they can literally change the whole game.
For the longest time, PCOS was pretty much just talked about as a hormonal imbalance. But some really fascinating new research is showing us there's something way deeper going on. I want you to think of it like this: a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. It's like a hidden fire that's just constantly smoldering inside your body, quietly messing with all its systems.
So what does that actually mean? Well, imagine your body's defense system is like a super sensitive alarm that's just always on, right? That constant state of high alert, it's not good. It can throw a wrench into all sorts of things, from your hormones and your cycle to your metabolism and how your body even uses energy.
And here's the really cool part. We can actually see the proof of this hidden fire. Your doctor can test for these markers like C-reactive protein. You can think of them as smoke signals. When these levels are up, it's a super clear sign telling us that, yep, the fire of inflammation is active, and we need to do something about it.
So the obvious next question is, if there's a fire, what's feeding it? Well, for a lot of us, the answer is sitting right there on our plates. Let's dig into how our diet can either be the kindling that feeds that fire or the water that helps to put it out.
The source material we're looking at calls this the perfect nutritional storm. And that is just such a perfect description, isn't it? It's this combination of our modern eating habits that, when they all come together, they create the perfect conditions for inflammation to not just get started, but to really take hold.
And here they are, the 3 main culprits in that storm. First up, you've got all the sugary, processed carbs that make your blood sugar go nuts. Then, you've got an overload of inflammatory omega-6 fats. You find those in tons of processed foods and vegetable oils. And to top it off, we're not getting nearly enough of the anti-inflammatory omega-3s, the good stuff you get from things like fatty fish. Put them all together, and it's the perfect kindling for that fire.
But, and this is the really good news, if your diet can fuel the fire, it absolutely has the power to help put it out. And this isn't about depriving yourself, it's about being strategic. So let's get into a practical, anti-inflammatory blueprint you can actually use to start making a change.
So this plan is built around about 1,450 calories a day. Now, I know that number might seem a little low, but the really important thing here is the intense focus on the quality of the nutrients, not just the quantity. Every single calorie is picked to help fight that inflammation.
The whole goal is a really carefully balanced plate. As you can see, a good chunk of it, almost 30% of your calories, comes from protein, which is awesome for helping you feel full and satisfied. And the carbs? They're specifically picked from low glycemic sources, which means they won't cause that big blood sugar spike that just fuels inflammation.
And here's a super simple way to remember it all: the 1-2-3 ratio. For every 1 gram of healthy fat you eat, you aim for about 2 grams of protein and 3 grams of those smart, low glycemic carbs. It's this really clever setup that's designed to help stabilize your insulin levels and keep you from feeling hungry all the time.
Now, just to see the difference, let's look at a more traditional plate. A lot of the time, a typical meal might look something like this, right? Super heavy on the refined carbs like white rice and naan. The big problem here is that these high glycemic foods make your insulin spike, which is basically like pouring gasoline on that hidden fire of inflammation.
But the anti-inflammatory approach totally flips this around. As you can see here, the focus switches to lean protein, and then, this is key, filling more than half your plate with colorful non-starchy veggies. This whole method helps keep your blood sugar incredibly stable and just floods your body with all the good stuff it needs to fight inflammation.
Okay, but hold on. It's not just what you eat, it's also how you cook it. And this part is so fascinating. Let's explore a hidden source of inflammation that you might have never even thought about, but it could be happening in your kitchen every single day.
This is such an important question to ask yourself. Are your go-to cooking habits, the way you make your meals day in and day out, are they accidentally creating these inflammatory compounds in your food? The answer, well, that might just surprise you.
These nasty little compounds are called AGs, which is a pretty fitting name because they can actually speed up the aging process in our bodies. Now, they do form naturally inside us, but the key thing here is that they're also created in our food when we cook it at really high temperatures.
And this comparison just makes it crystal clear. Cooking with lower temperatures and more moisture, think steaming, poaching, or making a stew, produces way fewer of these harmful AGEs. But on the flip side, those dry, high-heat methods like grilling, frying, and roasting, they create a ton more. So next time you're in the kitchen, maybe think about going for a gentler cooking method.
Okay, finally, let's go even deeper. Let's look at what might just be the most important battleground for controlling that hidden fire: your gut. Seriously, what happens in here has a massive impact on the rest of your entire body.
All right, check out these two images. On the left, that's a healthy gut barrier. Think of it like a strong, tightly woven wall that's super careful about what it lets into your body. But on the right, you've got a state called dysbiosis. That's where the wall has become damaged, inflamed, and leaky. And this leaky gut is a major driver of inflammation all over your body. When that gut barrier is broken down, toxins from unhealthy gut bacteria can slip right through the wall and get into your bloodstream. This sets off a body-wide immune response, and it's basically fanning the flames of that hidden fire throughout your whole system.
So what's the solution? Well, you have to rebuild your gut health from the inside out. And you do that with two key things. Prebiotics, which is basically the food for your good gut bacteria. You'll find it in stuff like onions, garlic, and bananas. And probiotics, which are the good bacteria themselves. You can get those from fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, or kimchi.
All right, so let's recap everything we've talked about. The biggest takeaway is to start thinking of PCOS as a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation, that hidden fire that's always smoldering. The key is to use your diet as your #1 tool to fight that fire, to pay attention to how you cook your food so you're not adding extra fuel, and to really support your gut health to keep those flames under control.
And that brings us to the end. The single most important thing to remember from all of this is that you have a tremendous amount of power to influence your health with your daily choices. So the question really is, what are you going to do with that power? What's just one small change you can make today to start putting out that hidden fire?